Hello. Um, I'd like to broaden what I'm saying today because I think there's some broader concepts underlying what's going on internationally. And I spoke a while ago about bullying and how much I detest bullying and how it's not just enough to stand up to the bully. Number one, and number two, how I don't think bullying itself is necessarily something that is identified in one particular individual when it occurs. I think bullying is like a disease and it affects everyone in the area. I've seen it in television production, utterly pernicious, and now thankfully even producers are beginning to stand up and say, this is a toxic atmosphere. Yes, absolutely. I've seen it in education. People desperate to cling on to their own authority, and then people wonder why bullying turns up in the playground. It's because there is already a demonstration of it, and we see the same thing in Putin's Russia. And yes, we can finger Mr. Putin as a bully, but I think it goes much further, and this is the problem because that disease has spread. And that disease has spread not only in the Kremlin, it's spread wider. I remember when I was lecturing and teaching and going around schools in Russia a few years ago and observing the manner of teaching and the way schools are operated. Bullying and oppression is right at the heart of the system. I remember one particular incident, it's etched on my mind, where I saw a small boy of 6 or 7 being slapped for putting his hand up too high, with the expression, "Shut up, Sergey, you're always talking." And if that is the manner of education, we cannot be hugely surprised that it has produced a tyrant and a menace to world order like President Putin. If he was slapped down as a 6-year-old and told to shut up, Vladimir, you're always talking. Now, when he's become really quite peculiar and intoxicated with his own sense of worth, knocking back Botox, probably adding further lifts to his shoes, are we surprised that he is emerging as an archetypal bully? So today, we've seen footage of missile strikes on a nuclear power plant, the biggest power plant in Ukraine. This is madness, utter madness. And we've also seen a bombing on the edge of Kyiv that was caught by the cameras of reporters. And it's relentless. At the same time, we know that Putin and his cronies have bombarded schools across Russia with the sort of propaganda that we haven't seen in many, many years, where children are being told that black is white and white is black, that only military targets in Ukraine are being targeted, and that this is a limited operation, not a war. We also learn now that Mr. Putin has claimed that those servicemen and women, presumably, who have been killed in the line of duty will be, their families will be given $70,000 plus a $40,000 extra. I suppose this is sort of a propaganda battle again against the offer made by Ukraine to troops who would surrender. troops need to know in Russia that what they are doing is illegal and that they are involved in a war that will have far-reaching consequences. First of all, it will become more dangerous and they will be part of that. And secondly, they will be held accountable in courts for their actions. There is no question. And however much we isolate Russia now and into the future, we will be taking these people to court. And there will be a reckoning, I'm afraid. And once again, no matter how much Mr. Lavrov says that certain things are off the table, we cannot believe him. And we have to act on the understanding that this could get much worse before it gets better. So I'm sorry to greet you on a Friday morning with such miserable news. Oh, and also Facebook now is almost inaccessible in Russia, but then Facebook is on the decline. A lot of social media, I was speaking to people early this morning, a lot of social media has become very clunky and very difficult to access. And so people are creative in Russia, and there is a very, very vocal resistance, but it is mostly younger people and the intelligentsia, those people who read, those people who have no access to the internet or don't know how to access the internet. I'm afraid they're being fed a diet of Putin fancies, and they believe everything they've been told. Mr. Putin's rating in the polls has now gone up to 71%. It's climbing slowly, but it is climbing, and we shouldn't be surprised about that. Putin commands a lot of support across Russia because Russians, for the most part, have no other access to news except for the state television channels. And I know from personal experience how they lie and how they distort the truth. In my case, they put completely fake words into my mouth, and thankfully the BBC has done a little article about it, which you can find. So it's all on record. These people are liars, they're blackguards, they're cheats, and they're holding the world to ransom. We are at their mercy. And the kickback needs to start with our understanding that this is not an equal game, that there is one side that is right and the other side is wholly wrong.